What's going on, guys? Marco here with 4 for 4, and I am bringing you my week 2 5 moves to make. Now, Monday night has not happened yet. We don't know what happened in that game, but week 1 was insane. We've got lots of moves we need to be making, so I am bringing you my 5 moves to make for week 2, hopefully getting you to a 2-0 start in your fantasy season. Let's go to my first move, number 1 move to make, and it's 1A, 1B. We'll break it down for you here in a little bit, but it's add Kenneth Gainwell. Now, the Eagles told us all offseason, Kenneth Gainwell's our guy. Kenneth Gainwell's our guy. Kenneth Gainwell's our guy. Now, they didn't do it with their words, but primarily they did it with their actions. And what did we see in week 1? That Kenneth Gainwell was, in fact, their guy. He had a 62% snap share and 18 opportunities for the Eagles in week 1. We know this offense is a prolific, high-scoring offense, and the reality is DeAndre Swift is going to get more involved. Even Nick Sirianni came out and said there's no way that he's going to get 2 touches again. That's just not going to happen. I think he ended up with actually 3 touches. Even if DeAndre Swift ends up being the 1A in this offense, which I think eventually he will be, Kenneth Gainwell is not going anywhere as long as he is healthy, and that's why he is a priority add for your waivers. He is actually my number 2 add. If you want to go with Kenneth Gainwell as your number 1 add, especially if you need a running back, I totally understand that because you need the value right now. But let's get into who my running back priority add is, and that's a guy I've been talking about this entire offseason. It's Chicago Bears running back Roschon Johnson. Now, he didn't really get too involved until the second half of the game, and of course they were getting blown out when he did end up scoring his touchdown. But the point is, he got a goal line carry, he scored the touchdown. He actually led all of the Chicago Bears running backs in snaps, routes run, and targets in this one. He scored over 17 PPR fantasy points, and he had a 19.5% target share, which is better than any Bears running back had in all of last season. He is going to continue to dominate these high leverage touches in this offense. Now, he's going to get that to happen more and more over the next couple of weeks. I think by week 4 or week 5, he is actually the workhorse for this Bears offense, and Khalil Herbert will get involved, but Roschon is going to dominate these high leverage touches. He's going to get involved with the goal line carries. He's going to be involved out of the backfield. You want to add Roschon Johnson. And the reason I actually have him prioritized over a Kenneth Gainwell is because Kenneth Gainwell's value is likely to dissipate as the season goes on, where Roschon Johnson's is likely to build. Buy him now. Even if you put him on your bench for the next couple weeks, I am totally fine with that. Week 2, especially against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I'm not starting him. But week 3, in a matchup that they're going to be likely blown out in, but definitely playing catch up, Roschon Johnson could be a major fantasy producer as early as week 3 for your fantasy teams. All right, the third move you have to make is add Puka Nacua. Now, he is my number 2 overall add, but my number 1 wide receiver add for your fantasy rosters. And I know what you're thinking, oh, it's a big week 1 that we've seen this before. He's probably going to falter out. He's a rookie. Cooper Kupp is going to come back. But we have to break down what Nacua did in week 1 because it was actually a historic performance for a rookie wide receiver. Never mind a rookie wide receiver who was drafted in the 5th round. Nacua had a 90% route participation. He saw 15 targets and an insane, absolutely insane 40.5% target share for the LA Rams. Matt Stafford did not look like he was dust. And so in this offense, in the Cooper Kupp role, Nacua brings immediate value, especially in full PPR leagues. And I know Cooper Kupp, he might come back in 4 weeks. He might come back in 4 weeks. That's fine. The juice is worth the squeeze for at least 4 weeks. If Cooper Kupp doesn't come back for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, if he doesn't come back this season, Nacua is a league-winning wide receiver in PPR leagues. Even in half PPR leagues, I'm all in on Nacua. The only way I'm not spending, top dollar on him, I'm talking 20% of my fab, is if you're in a standard league where the receptions aren't going to tally up to, fantasy value. So if you break down all of these moves, I am prioritizing these guys in this way. Roschon Johnson would be my number 1. I'm okay giving anywhere from 15 to 25% of my fab for Roschon Johnson. Puka Nacua would be my number 2. Same range, 15 to 25%. Kenneth Gainwell, I'm going more in that 12 to 15% because, again, I think his value actually diminishes as the season goes on, but you can get a lot of value right now for a guy like Kenneth Gainwell, and we're always looking for running backs in fantasy football, and he is exactly that. Now, let's get into the next, my next move to make, and that is don't overreact. Sometimes the best move is really not a ton of movement. There is going to be managers who are dropping Drake London. There are going to be managers who are just giving Drake London away for nothing. Go get Drake London. You know, he might not be a league-winning wide receiver, but there's no way he's going to have no value this season. He is going to probably be a wide receiver 2, maybe a wide receiver 3, but that still is going to help you win if you can figure it out, if you can be patient. So if you're a team that has wide receiver depth, but you're willing to go ahead and throw, you know, a couple wide receivers, package a couple wide receivers away for a Drake London, make a trade. Go get these guys. If you have, you know, fantasy owners out there or fantasy league mates out there who are worried about any underperformers in week 1, capitalize, because very few guys who underperformed in week 1 alone, and there's no ancillary things we need to be worried about, am I panicking on? You're not overreacting to these superstars who underperformed in week 1. So don't overreact. That's a really important move or not move for you to make in week 2. And let's get to the final move that you need to make, and that is don't break the bank for Justice Hill. Be patient. I know J.K. Dobbins went down. I was a huge J.K. Dobbins truther. I've been pounding the table for this guy, and he scored a touchdown in his limited opportunity. He brought you 11 plus fantasy points in full PPR leagues, and that was going to be exciting. Justice Hill came in, and he actually did most of the work for the Ravens running backs, but I'm not breaking the bank on Justice Hill. Gus Edwards was still very involved. He's going to probably be more involved. Melvin Gordon was already elevated from the practice squad today, and who knows, maybe they bring in a Kareem Hunt or a Leonard Fournette. Justice Hill is a solid player who could get a lot of work, but he also could be part of just this large committee that you are looking at and saying, why am I invested in this at all? It's a guessing game that I'm almost always losing, because that's what the Ravens have done historically without a J.K. Dobbins type or, you know, their Mark Ingram type to lead the way. Really, the Ravens runner you want is Lamar Jackson now. And he was underwhelming in week 1, but I'm not worried about him going forward. So don't go crazy for Justice Hill. I'm talking maybe 5, 8, 10% is my absolute max on a guy like Justice Hill. And you're probably not hearing that in a lot of other places. A lot of people are telling you to buy in on this guy. I'm not really buying in if you have to pay more than that, you know, 8 to 10% of your fab. If you're a number 1, number 2, number 3 waiver priority, like I already mentioned, I'm not spending that on Justice Hill unless you're desperate at running back. That's my moves to make for week 2. Let me know your thoughts below. If you have questions, hit me up on Twitter or drop them below at Marco_NFL. Thanks for hanging out. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Check out all of our great content and be kind, do good. I'll see you next week. Peace.